And stick with this Bills-Bengals game. And we talked a little bit about Josh Allen and the Bengals, but on the other side of the football, Joe Burrow was strong, Rob. Gaudy. The numbers aren't incredibly gaudy, but you wouldn't really expect that in a snowstorm. But he played a smart game, very mistake-free game, and obviously orchestrated the victory for his team. He was 23 for 36, 242 yards, 6.5 yards, 6.7 per average, but 2 TDs, no interception, and a passer rating over 101, Rob. So do you think there's a lot of talk about, I do think, Rob, the 3 best quarterbacks in the league are Burrow, Mahomes, number 1 in my book, and then Burrow and Allen. I think, Rob, like in my opinion, the only thing, at least for now, written in stone is that Mahomes is the best. And I think this goes for the NBA, Rob. I think numbers 2 through 5, 6, those kind of are fluid and they kind of vary year to year. One year it could be Lamar. One year we'll see if Jalen Hurts keeps this up, or it might be Burrow, or it might be Allen. Like maybe somebody else will pop in there. But where are you at on Burrow? I think if he beats Mahomes this weekend, and that would make him 4-0 against Mahomes, Rob, I do think maybe he might have to win the Super Bowl too. Probably got to win the Super Bowl too. I do think there'll be a number of people saying Burrow's the best quarterback in the league. So what are your thoughts on him and just where he might go this year?
Yeah, I think if he beats Mahomes, which I think they will, I just think the ankle, the defense, they just haven't lost, Chris. That team, there's something about that team. Even, like
they certainly look like the best team
right?
in the AFC
they do.
On Sunday. Now, I don't know. Some people might say, well, Buffalo just didn't show up. But, Rob, they just dominated.
Right.
Now, I think, look, I've said all year long, I felt like the best team and the best couple of teams, actually, were in the AFC. But, man, San Francisco and Philadelphia are tough. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't know which conference is going to win the Super Bowl, but I do think, we'll make our picks when it's time.
Right.
But right now, I think Cincinnati looks like the best team in the AFC.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just do. And with the injury to Mahomes, we can't ignore it.
Right.
Let's just be honest.
He's not going to be 100%.
He's not.
That's for sure.
That ain't going to heal in a week's time, Chris. It just ain't.
Right.
For him to come out of a game, you think he came out of a game because he wanted to?
I bet today, Rob, it's probably worse.
Right. Because that's usually what happens.
And on a quick aside, I'm going to give Andy Reid credit, Rob, and I don't know what they were saying on the sideline, but it looked like he was ready to save Patrick Mahomes from himself, even if it meant Chad Henne finishing that game. So I'll give him some credit on that. They forced him to go into the locker room and get an X-ray. He didn't want to.
You have to, because if you ruin that kid's career, Chris, and put him back out there and he was seriously in, you would never forgive yourself. Am I right? A talent like that.
Yep.
You can't play around with that. And I get it. Patrick Mahomes wants to play. He has a heart of a champion and all that. Yes, we get it. But you go back out there and seriously hurt yourself, now what? Got a whole career to go. People get hurt. It happens in the league.
Rob, there were some people trying to say, I don't know how many times, if you watched the injury up close, that it was a dirty play, which I completely disagree with.
I didn't think it was dirty.
No.
Did you? I watched it over and over.
Not at all. I think, look, this is football. Sometimes, I'm sorry. I just think sometimes, I don't know what people are expecting these guys to do. Rob, they expect these huge offensive linemen to be like ballerinas now. Like, you're not going to always be able to guide your fall. You know what I'm saying? And they just fell on, I don't know if it was Key but they fell on, it just fell on Mahomes. And it was just nothing. They both were going for the sack. They got there just after he released
they
the
were
ball.
They were doing their job, Chris.
Right.
I just don't know.
That's just
how they going to stop on a dime on a play like that?
No.
You can't.
Not at
so
all.
And so the long of short of this is Joe Burrow has a lot to do to be able to dethrone Mahomes at this point, because he has to win a Super Bowl, and he hasn't won an MVP. But it would be pretty impressive if he got them back to the Super Bowl, Chris, his second and third year. Remember, he's hurt his first year, only played 8 games or whatever it was, and to be able to come back after you made it and then win a championship, and then I don't know, Super Bowl MVP, and eventually, then you'd have to say he's 4-0 against Mahomes. He's won a championship just like Mahomes, and then you got to start to look at it, and he would be, then you could have a conversation. But you still, Mahomes has a Super Bowl and Mahomes has an MVP. So I just, and could have 2 if he gets this one. So I don't think that's a real conversation. Not yet. I think it's a potential.
I think some people will put it out there, but I'm with you.
Not yet.
No. And like you said, look, we have to be honest. I mean, it's not just about like which quarterback won the game. That's the better quarterback. I mean, we give the quarterbacks all the credit in the world, no question. But it is truly, this is the ultimate team game. All these great quarterbacks making all this money wouldn't be a thing without their offensive linemen who get no publicity.
Chris, what did Josh Allen do wrong last year in Cincinnati? Nothing. He played great.
He was phenomenal.
He played great, and the defense couldn't get a stop.
In Kansas City.
Kansas City, I meant. Yeah.
Am I right? It was incredible. Absolutely.
You didn't go home going, that damn Josh Allen. What?
Absolutely.
He played great.
Peyton Manning won 2 Super Bowls. One where he was the driving force. Aaron Rodgers has won 1 Super Bowl.
That's right.
You going to tell me Jimmy Garoppolo's better than Aaron Rodgers?
Sorry.
Beating him in the playoffs a couple times. So, no. But there will be those that put that out there, Rob. But no, I won't go there. But you're right. If Burrow wins, the thing about Burrow, and I think this is the one thing he certainly would have over Mahomes, is Mahomes did step into a great situation. Andy Reid was there. The team was already winning 11 games, going to the playoffs. Kelsey was there.
There's no doubt.
Tyreek Hill.
Chris,
what
that's
I mean?
fair. That's fair.
Now, I think he's the best quarterback I've ever seen. I mean, he's not the GOAT. He's got to win.
But the pieces were there, right?
Right. And Burrow, and you said it earlier when we talked to Solomon Wilcots. I mean, my goodness. Like, this is similar. This is where another similarity to Montana, Rob. Because if you remember, I mean, we look at San Francisco as this great franchise now, right? I mean, when I was a young kid, like in the 70s, they were an afterthought.
Bill Walsh is the one who turned that franchise around. Yep. Bill Walsh, Chris.
They were nothing. I mean, really, this 49ers were not a good franchise. And Montana, Rob, his first year as a full-time starter, and they hadn't made the playoffs, Rob, in almost a decade. The playoffs. And he led them to a Super Bowl. And that's where now he won the Super Bowl, but that's where there's a good similarity with Burrow. Because Burrow went to the Bengals, a bad franchise at that point, hadn't made the playoffs in several years. Won, I think, 2 games. That's how they got the number 1 pick. They won 2 games before he got there, the season before he got there. And then, Rob, he was injured, played, 7 games, I think, his first year. And then, Rob, his first year healthy, they go to the Super Bowl and lose. So that's the one, like, he really did go somewhere and just by his sheer presence turn the franchise around. He obviously had help. They had Joe Mixon's pretty good, and
Chase.
They drafted his boy Chase and all that. But that's one thing that Mahomes can't say, that he by himself just turned a perennial loser into a winner.
And Chris, you're right, and that would be the difference once Burrow's wins. You know what I mean? Like, then you have a claim to be like,
Right.
that's what made, and we talk about this all the time about Michael Jordan. The Bulls franchise
don't
was
realize
bad.
that.
Was
Right,
bad. They had
absolutely.
nothing. They had nothing. People have no idea. The Bulls were terrible, lovable losers, Chris.
Right.
The Bulls. Chicago
They
had
were.
all the losers. The
They
Cubs, the Bulls, the Blackhawks. They were all bad teams.
White Sox.
Yep.
White Sox. Yep, no doubt. The Bears, I mean, they wanted an 80, and that was around Jordan.
Right.
But still, I mean, that's their only Super Bowl. And so, yeah, I love Burrow. He does, Rob, remind me a lot of Brady and Montana. I mean, I know they aren't exactly the same, but just, the way he wins, I mean, smart. Obviously, the arm's good enough. He's not, Josh Allen type arm, but
but
very
you don't
good
right.
arm. Right, touch, smart, poised. Rob, he's still, according to Pro Football Focus, Rob, the Bengals still, after all these improvements, and this is, before the injuries, they got the 28th ranked offensive line in the league.
That's crazy.
28.
Really?
Yes. And Buffalo's got the 23rd ranked. This is all according to PFF.
I didn't realize, Chris, that they were still there.
Yeah, I mean, that's where he's similar to Brady, the quick release for Burrow. And I think, Rob, he's just a leader. And the one thing I'll say, and I did you see Stephon Diggs going off on Josh Allen during the game?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Allen. And I don't think it's a huge deal. I don't think it'll continue. I think it'll be forgotten and they'll be fine next year. But I don't recall, I may have missed it. I don't recall anybody going off on like a Tom Brady or a Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers.
Not like that. No,
right?
no.
Or Joe Burrow.
I'd have to think about that, Chris.
Yeah, we could have missed it. Maybe it happened in a game we didn't see on TV, but I don't know. That just struck me as, man, like, you don't see the elite quarterbacks getting yelled at like that.
Brady is yelled at. We've seen that. But
He's
not
yelled at people.
But
right.
I've never seen a receiver run up in his face and say something.
Right. So that makes me, I mean, again, I really like Josh Allen, but that does make me wonder about the respect. I mean, they respect him certainly, but just the leadership. Do they see him as that great leader that galvanizes them? So